you guys, my name is Grace and I've been recently hired by VIPKID because I've been teaching ESL overseas for the last few years and now I'm currently in the States for a little while, but I wanted to continue to teach English, so VIPKID is literally everywhere, so I thought that I would go ahead and give it a shot, and here I am, talking to you. But before I applied, or while I was applying, I watched a lot of YouTube videos like you're doing right now. Good job. And so I thought that I would go ahead and give my 2 cents. So this video is going to be about the Mach 1 interview. That's kind of the thing that I think everybody gets freaked out about, including myself. I was a little freaked. But in this video, I'm not going to kind of give you the generic tips that you've heard in the training and from every other YouTube video in the world. Like, use TBR, talk slow. Like, y'all know that, okay? I have 6 tips that I think are a little bit more obscure, maybe things that you haven't really thought about or heard before. Some of them are just things that I observed or thought of myself, and some of them are directly in line with the feedback that I got on my Mach 1. I'm not going to do a slide by slide demonstration because I watched a couple of those and some of them were helpful for sure, don't get me wrong. And a couple of the slides are really confusing, so that was helpful in that regard. But a couple of the things that I decided to use from those videos, I kind of got reprimanded for. So I don't know, I don't necessarily think it's the smartest way to go about it. Trust yourself as a teacher. But as I said, again, if you have any like specific slides that are really confusing, comment down below and I'll talk you through what I did and how it went, what kind of feedback I got on it. I just did the most recent, the new Mach 1, which was you're basically teaching 2 short lessons. So you're teaching a 15-minute beginner lesson, which is just on the letter X, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then a 10-minute more advanced lesson, which is on my country, which is China or whatever. So if I refer to anything specifically, I'm talking about those lessons. So tip number 1 is the most self-explanatory tip of my 6 tips. The rest of them are a little bit more in-depthy, but this one I think is just something that you just keep in the back of your mind while you're preparing for the lesson and while it's happening. VIPKID is a huge company. It has like over 20,000 teachers now, which means they have a gajillion teacher mentors, which is who is going to be interviewing you and acting like a 5-year-old kid. And each of those teachers is different, so keep that in mind. They are all going to be looking for different things. They are all going to have different pet peeves or things that they love. So no matter how awesome or awful you do, they're going to find things that they like and things that they don't like. When I did my very, very first interview, the 10-minute demo, the guy loved it. And he was like, this is exactly what we're looking for, great job, I have no feedback for you. So I was like, yeah. But then I went into the mock, and I did okay, I think I did pretty good. And then dude had like so much feedback for me, which was good. I actually really like getting feedback. I'm very receptive to constructive criticism. But some of the things that I thought I did great, he didn't like, and then some of the things that I was like, oh crap, I can't believe I just did that, he was like, that was really well done. So just keep it in mind, everybody. Nobody's perfect. I can't believe I just did that. And also keep in mind, you actually might be a better teacher than them. So take everything what they say as kind of a grain of salt. I know that might be kind of like controversial to say. But the people have been working for VIPKID for like a year at least, which is awesome. They know a lot about VIPKID. But if you've been a teacher for, 15 years, what they say might not end up being actually how you teach, because you're like, that's not actually right in the process, but okay, whatever. Tip number 2. This is something that really rocked my mind. I did not realize this, and so I hope this will help you. So on each of the slides, at the bottom, it says TD, which is teacher directions, and it kind of describes to you what you should do, how to handle each slide. So I thought that's what you're actually supposed to do, because it's the directions, okay? Makes sense to me. No, apparently you can just kind of disregard those things. So when I was teaching the older, more advanced class, we were talking about countries. And so on the teacher directions, it said, teach the child that a country means it has people, culture, language, and government. And I was like, this kid is not gonna know what culture or government is. Why are we we're teaching flag. Like, come on, they're not gonna know what culture is. Why are we teaching these words? But since it was in the teacher directions, and it was even in red, I think, I felt like I just have to do this because that's in the teacher directions. So during the lesson, I didn't spend a lot of time on it. I just kind of said that sentence, and I didn't even attempt to describe culture. But I was like, government is, you know, king or a president or an emperor, and blah, blah, blah. So then at the end, my teacher mentor basically told me, you know, you did a good job trying to explain that to me. I liked how you did it, but you didn't have to do that. He was like, you can basically disregard the teacher directions if you want to. So you don't have to. If you can work it into the lesson, that's fine. But some of those really, really strange teacher directions, you can just ignore them, okay? Tip number 3 is you don't have to do every single thing on all of the slides. I ended up on the first lesson taking too long on the review because I felt like I had to do every single part. And turns out I could have skipped stuff. Especially the review slides, there were words like key and king and kite that the kid is supposed to have already known. So you could basically just do one of those. Just do kite or just do key, whatever you want, and then move on to the new stuff. And then on the older kid slide, I actually utilized that feedback. And so there was a slide that was all about represent, and it had like a McDonald's and a Puma and a Nike and blah, 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 blah. So I just chose 2 of those. I did McDonald's and Chinese characters, I believe, and then I just moved on. The new material, try and do as much as you possibly can, but it's really okay to skip stuff. But to make this a little bit more complicated, because you guys are smart, you can multi-dimensional tip right here. At the same time, when we were doing the review, I started to explain. There was a slide about matching like big letter to small letter, and he had to draw a line. So I explained it, and then he really quick did all of it. He did the entire slide, and I was like, oh, okay. But I still made him go through everything, like big S, small s, big T, small t. And he, at the end of the lesson, said that he really, really liked that. He liked that I didn't just fly through it or just leave that slide behind. So it's kind of a tricky thing to know, like you can skip stuff, but also don't skip stuff. So in your lesson, if you decide to skip stuff, that's okay. But if the kid does something that kind of throws you off, still try and continue with the rest of the slide. Tip number 4, which is slightly frustrating for me, to be honest, because the feedback was a little bit confusing. But because I took so long with the review, I was running a little bit behind on time. So when we got to the new material like X and Fox and Ox, I went a little bit too fast and I didn't have him repeat it enough. So at the end of the lesson, he just said, make sure you have the students repeat the new material 3 times. So X, 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 Fox, 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 Ox, Ox, which takes a long time, but it's really important. So that's legit, do that. But then I took that feedback and utilized it in my next lesson, and apparently that's wrong. I just wasn't told that. I was like, flag, 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 capital, 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 which took up so much time. And so at the end of the lesson, he was like, oh, no, that was only for the young kids. So for the young kids, have them repeat everything 3 times. For the older kids, they only have to repeat it once. Unless, of course, they're having trouble with it, like they can't say represent. Of course, you can go over it a couple more times, but in general, 3 times for the young students, once for the older students. Tip number 5 is, this might not necessarily, this kind of falls into the whole like each mentor is going to be different category, because I had read on blogs and I had seen in other YouTube videos that, okay, you had 15 minutes for the first lesson and 10 minutes for the next lesson. And if you go over 15 minutes for the first one, then you lose time on your second one. So if you teach for 16 minutes instead of 15 minutes, for your next one you get 9 minutes instead of 10 minutes, which was like, what? That's so ridiculous, and that is ridiculous. But my mentor did not do it that way, and I'm so glad he didn't. He set a timer for 15 minutes, and so did I had my phone with me. And at 15 minutes, his alarm went off and he just stopped me there. I was on like the last slide, so it was fine. But then I had a whole 10 minutes for the other one, and then he put a timer on, and when the alarm went off, that's the end of the lesson, and I was also on the last slide. I hope that your mentor does not do the subtracting and adding time. I think that's so stupid. So dumb if they do. Because that's unrealistic to your actual lesson, and you prepared your lesson for 10 minutes, or you prepared it for 15 minutes. Dumb if they do it that way. But that might just vary from mentor to mentor, so I hope that your mentor is like mine. And tip number 6 is don't freak out about your background or your reward system, okay? Especially for Mach 1, like, you haven't gotten this job yet. Don't freak out. There are so many YouTube videos out there that are like, make sure that your background looks like a classroom. You need to have a corkboard, and you need to have like a unicorn. If you could bring in George Clooney, that would be awesome. You haven't gotten this job yet. Obviously, if you can put some stuff up on the wall, that's great. It'll show that you won the job, sure. Wear an orange shirt if you want to, sure. That'll show that you want the job. Yeah, all those little things are fine, but it really doesn't matter. My mentor had like a plain white wall, blank wall, with like a couple of cards like sticky tacked up to the wall, like it looked like nothing. I had what you see behind me, and that's what I used to teach. But there are a lot of teachers out there that teach remotely. They can't have crazy stuff in the back. If you have that stuff available, sure, go for it. But don't go out and break the bank. I think I spent like $7 on this. Same thing with like a headset. If you could get a headset that has a microphone, that's awesome. But whenever you watch like the training videos, none of those people have those things. The actual training videos on VIPKID, and like they don't look impressive at all. The only thing I would recommend is have good lighting. Lighting is key, because if they can't really see you, then they're not gonna be able to see what you're teaching, and that will look bad. So prioritize lighting over anything else. Same with reward systems. Have a reward system, but don't freak out if it's not elaborate. Yeah, even my mentor said that at the beginning of our interview. He was like, yeah, don't really worry about the reward system. And then he kind of called me out on it at the end, which was weird, because I just had, this is my reward system. It's blank at the beginning of the lesson, and then I add animals as they go on. And then at the end, he was like, yeah, that reward system wouldn't be appropriate for the older kids. I'm like, yeah, I know that, but you said not to worry about it, but whatever. Once you actually get the job and you start teaching, yeah, take some pride. And especially if you have to do the Mach 2, that's kind of like your last chance. Go for it, you know, maybe put a little bit more effort. And I don't want to sound like don't put effort into it, because if you're able to, that's great. I currently live with my sister and brother-in-law, and they're 2 babies. So we have like little props and little things like this everywhere. So it's really, really easy for me to just be like, I need a puppet. But if I was living on my own, I'm not gonna go out and buy a bunch of stuff. Like, I need this job because I need money, okay? Be a good teacher. That's what really, really matters. This job is really about the personality and about the teaching. It's not about all the paraphernalia. Sorry if you're a paraphernalia fanatic. And bonus tip number 7. Yeah, bonus, because it's just bonus. I forgot about this tip, so I'm just adding it as bonus, okay? This is just, it's something that I bring into every single job interview, and not to like flip my own hair, but I've pretty much been offered every single job that I've ever applied for, and I think it's because of this thing that I'm about to tell you right now. So, I used to work at Disneyland, and Disneyland is known for its impeccable, immaculate, world-shatteringly good customer service. And it's because you always have a smile on your face. The person that you're talking to is the most important person in the world. If someone comes up to you and they ask you, where's the bathroom? Oh my gosh, that is the greatest question anyone has ever asked me. It's right this way, ma'am. Like, that is how you treat every single person. So that is how I go into job interviews, and it's especially relevant. Whew, I've been talking too much. Relevant for VIPKID. So you go into that interview pretending like you work for Disney. This Grace that you see me talking to you right now, this is not Teacher Grace. Teacher Grace is Disney Grace, okay? So I don't talk fast. I don't use all these crazy, it's not, this is me. But Teacher Grace is like, hi, oh, it's so good to see you. Look at your pretty dress. Good job. Like, that is Teacher Grace, okay? Don't you want to learn from her? So just go into it, pretend like you work for Disney, pretend you are a Disney princess, pretend you are Mickey Mouse, whoever you want to be inspired by. It helps you slow your speed, it helps you smile. Pretend you're at the happiest place on earth. That's what I do for most of my life, actually. That's how I cope. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to subscribe because I will be coming up with some more VIPKID videos in the future. I also have a lot of videos just about ESL teaching if that's something that you're interested in. If you need a referral teacher, please use my link. It'll be in the description bar below. I would love to help you out, and I promise I'm not just saying this because you do get a little bit of a bonus if you refer a teacher. I honestly just really love chatting with teachers, bouncing ideas off each other, answering questions. I get emails and messages from my viewers literally like every single day asking about becoming an ESL teacher, asking about travel or CELTA questions, and I love chatting with you guys. I really do. So I promise it's not weird. I didn't use a referral teacher because I was like, it's gonna be so weird if they get a notification that this random person used them as a referral. It's not weird, I promise. I should have used a referral teacher. I feel bad that I didn't. I'm kind of like hitting myself. I should have. So I would love to be a referral teacher. I did just successfully go through the application process. I passed on Mach 1, so I didn't have to do a Mach 2. And I do have a decent amount of ESL experience, so I will share the love. We can email, I'll answer questions, we can Skype if you want, whatever floats your boat. You can also just ask questions down below as well, and I will answer what I can. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.